We keep trying to make ourselves love it. It's broken. Yes, this is my own version of Alicia's line to Nick from Season 3, Episode 10, The Diviner, but I felt it was very appropriate to twist it a bit and apply it to viewers of Fear the Walking Dead. I thought about using the term fans of Fear the Walking Dead, but that might be a bit of a stretch because I do feel there are a lot of viewers out there that are just hate watching the show at this point. I was one of them before, but then Season 3 kicked off and I let my critical guard down a little bit and I have come to enjoy the show for what it is. A good, not great show that has some cool moments from time to time and has some really good character moments on occasion. Notice I didn't say good characters. The show is still sadly lacking in that department. I like some, Troy for example, or the Travis we saw at the end of his run, but a lot of the characters are tough to like because they don't seem to have clear enough motivations that drive them. Or if they do, they change dramatically from season to season or sometimes even episode to episode. I won't spend too much time dwelling on this in this video, but two quick examples were illustrated in this episode involving Nick and Madison. Earlier in Season 3, Nick couldn't wait to burn out of Brokejaw Ranch and despised characters like Troy and the militiamen. Yet in this episode, he's ready to take up their cause against Walker and his people. He even acts a little smug towards Alicia about the militiamen looking to him for leadership. Yes, I get why he is doing this. I just think how we get to the end action of him joining Alicia to dig for the water was a little messy. The writers were changing how the character has historically behaved in order to manufacture a little more drama in the form of Nick taking up arms against Walker's people. In the case of Madison, she's always been a do whatever it takes in order for her children to survive. Yet she couldn't kill or at least harm Troy in episode 9. Knowing full well that Troy now knows Nick was the one to pull the trigger on Jeremiah. Again, the writers play a little too fast and loose with their characters' established behaviors in order to manufacture additional drama that was either A, already there, or B, not needed. Not to mention the fact that in this episode, Madison tells Nick, "I'm not leaving until I know you're okay," as he looks like absolute butts, locked in the porta potty hotbox. But then before he can even utter a word, all you see is the trail of dust left by Madison jetting out of that scene. This makes the scene feel a little disingenuous, not to mention that based on past behavior from Madison, she would have never even allowed Nick to be locked in the box in the first place. Okay, now that I've gotten off my pompous critical high horse and gotten the whinery out of the way, I will say this: I still really like this episode of Fear the Walking Dead, and I think if we can get out of our own way as fans of the Walking Dead universe, we can start to enjoy the really great human-on-human drama that this show has to offer, and we will actually start to like the 40-odd minutes we spend each week with the show. Now on to our favorite moments from the episode. Ta-da! The character of Troy is a little crazy and definitely unhinged, but I absolutely love it. I was really glad to see Troy back in this episode, even if it was in the form of Nick's hallucinations. I also like how Nick is feeling guilt for his actions that indirectly resulted in Troy being exiled. He is seemingly trying to trick himself into thinking he saved Troy by killing Jeremiah, but his hallucinations in the form of Troy say otherwise. Not really an amazing moment per se, but I love seeing Madison trying to manipulate Alicia when she lets her know about the water supply situation at Brokejaw Ranch by saying to her, "You've always been the strong one." Madison isn't above lying to her children in order to get her way. I'm just glad one of them is starting to finally call her on her bullshit. Speaking of, that is why I really love that line that I appropriated at the beginning of this video.
We keep trying to make her love us. Broken.
Alicia went absolutely ham in this episode. She told that old lady to know your role and shut your mouth, you Rudy Poo candy ass. I am the one, the way your son don't need a gun to get respect up on the street. She went off on Nick and she attempted to go off on Ophelia and Crazy Dog. That didn't work that well, but it was still awesome to see her step up to the occasion in this episode. And I love that a lot of that anger and angst is the result of finally seeing through Madison's bullshit, and Alicia is starting to prepare to take her to task for it. I feel like Alicia speaking this line to Nick actually ties into Walker's earlier warning to Madison about her kids and one of his dogs, otherwise known as a metaphor for Madison's kids, having bitten him. This was Walker's not so subtle way of warning Madison about Nick. Problem is, I think Walker got the wrong kid. It's Alicia that Madison should actually be worrying about.
Welcome to the bazaar, safe market in unsafe times.
Fear the Walking Dead is a fully functioning marketplace in the zombie apocalypse, while our heroes in The Walking Dead are regularly eating the last can of Beanie Weenies they find on the side of the highway. I thought this was something really cool to see in the universe of The Walking Dead, and I love the sassiness of the Lady Gatekeeper. Yes, it was a little odd seeing the metrosexual bodyguards protecting Maria Lou, who is apparently the final boss Madison and Walker have to fight in order to get the water. This felt a little out of place, like Maria Lou was the water crime boss in Waterworld or something, but it was still really cool seeing this bazaar, which truly felt like something out of a post-apocalyptic world. Strand is back, back again. Strand is back, tell a friend. Seriously, Strand is back, and I couldn't be happier about that. When Travis went down, we lost a really solid character on Fear. Strand was another good character on the show, and he seriously got downplayed in the first half of Season 3, plus that storyline that he did happen to be in was kind of whack in my opinion. He works best with Madison, so it was great to see these two back together. Plus, I really liked the way he was introduced in this episode, with Madison overhearing someone about to get their ass beat and running over to help. The whole scene in the bazaar felt like something out of Star Wars, with Strand playing the role of our lovable outlaw, Han Solo. I also thought the punishment Proctor John doled out to him was pretty cool. And although I never feared for his safety, I did think it was an interesting twist on what folks like Negan and the Governor have done on The Walking Dead. Instead of using walkers to protect your gates, this time actual live people were utilized for this. You survive, you can come back in. If you don't, hey, maybe they cleared a few of the walkers before they went down. Pretty ruthless of this Proctor John character. Again, I think Fear the Walking Dead comes back from the hiatus with a solid episode. Yes, there were some plot conveniences had in order to get us to the path of reunited Strand and Daniel with Madison's group in Ophelia. We haven't seen it yet with Daniel and Ophelia, but it's coming. But that was okay because the journey to get there was fun. And the drama at Brokejaw Ranch was needed to show the maturation into leadership that Alicia's character is undertaking. The trip to the bazaar felt like something out of Mad Max or Fallout, and may have felt a little out of place to viewers and readers of the Walking Dead universe, but I liked it, and honestly hope we explore more of this Proctor John character in the future. I'm just a sucker for post-apocalyptic bad guys that run entire economies. Two other quick things that I wanted to point out. One, to tie back into the thread discussed in the review for episode 9, and the actions taken by our characters built on lies. I like seeing this continue in episode 10 with the militiamen looking to Nick for leadership, thinking he was in on Troy's plan for retribution towards Walker and his people. I can't wait to see what happens when Nick's lies completely implodes inside Brokejaw Ranch, and I feel like Troy may be the one to pull the pin on that one. The other was the use of a technique called dowsing by the members of Walker's group in order to find water. I thought this tied in nicely to the episode title, along with Madison finding her own diviner in the form of Strand.